But let me come back to you, Richard. So on the back of the announcement made by the finance minister, we know that 15 pesos will be taken off the price build-up when it comes to, or the price, ex-pump price, in terms of what people get at the fuel pumps. We've heard from some entities, the chambers, when it comes to petroleum consumption, who have said...
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Is that Samson?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So maybe, Richard, just hold your horses. I was about to ask you about the 15 peso decrement and the whole plan moving forward, but just hold your horses there. Samson, so I just wanted to briefly know, what is your take on the back of the finance minister's presentation last week? What are your takeaways? What does it mean to you? What don't you like about what was said? Do share with us.
Thank you very much. What I didn't like about what he said was his 15 peso per liter.
Right.
I think this was you remember I said that the finance minister is trying to manage Ghana alike. It is an enterprise, but he has forgotten that he finds himself in the public office. And so whatever policy that he's going to do, he should have to think about the ordinary. Because it is the ordinary who wake up early dawn, go and climb trees, to be in queues, to register for voter education, voters ID card, to go and queue and vote. And so when you make policies that it is only the elite who enjoy more than the ordinary, then you don't know what.
So my estimation is that Samson's connection is not the best. Maybe we'll see whether we can get him via phone to share some of his thoughts so we can have a free-flowing, seamless conversation. But let me come back to you, Richard. That very matter he was talking about, Richard Amankwa, 15 pesos off a price build-up of about 5 cedis over the space of a few months. And 15 pesos being taken off. There has been talk by some of those in the sector that as much as 1 CD will be taken off, or 80 pesos. But for now, we know of 15 pesos, and even that starts from April the 1st. So I put the question to you. What does 15 pesos mean for you? Was that enough to cushion you?
Oh, it's not enough. What I can say is that it's insignificant because we can work with it. As you all know, the ex-pump price has been increased daily. So when we met the sector minister, that was on the 1st February 2020 this year, whilst we are negotiating on the price increase, we were proposing for 30%. And you were giving 15%. Even at that meeting, we were pushing for 20%, such that we cannot increase it whenever the ex-pump price goes up. But the minister and the stakeholders clearly established that we should maintain the 15%. So whenever the fuel prices goes up above 10%, we should add another percentage to the transport fare. So we agree on that. And it was clearly established in the communique we issued that we are monitoring the ex-pump price. So whenever it goes up, we will not hesitate to increase our price. So we made them aware. And on the 17th of this month, when the prices start going up, we wrote to the sector minister that upon our monitoring, we have seen that the fuel price has been increased. And by the time we were giving 15%, the liter price was 11.80.
Right.
Now, the fuel, as at now, it is 11.18.
Right.
So we did our calculation and sent to him that we need to increase it. And since we sent the letter to them on the 17th, we have not heard anything from them.
They have not responded at all
to
you?
They have not done that. They have not responded.
Right.
So what we are doing is that we will have a management meeting. So after the management meeting, we know what to tell our members and the drivers, the percentage we want to increase it. Because as I said, it has been clearly shown. And the stakeholders, all the stakeholders they are aware that the prices has gone up. So we don't have anything to do. The 15% cannot do anything. It cannot wash away the percentage we are demanding for.
Richard, how much would have been satisfactory for you? How much would have been satisfactory? 1 CD? Will that work? 2 CDs?
Oh, actually, last year, November, all the system transport, we had press conference at SECO or no.
Right.
And what we are demanding for is 1 CD 34%.
Right.
So we are expecting that at least we go beyond even about more. We are expecting that either it will be 1/3 to test or even half of what we were demanding for.
So you're basically saying that even if they were to give you 60 or 70 pesos, it would be fine?
Yeah, that's why we can say it can do something. But as we speak, the 15%, there's nothing we can do. 15%. There's nothing we can do with it. We cannot. It will not show anything on the drawing board. So as per our calculations, that 15% will not do anything. So we are demanding for what we have planned for.
So 1 CD 34 pesos from last year, that was the demand you were making, but now the prices have shot up. So are you still pegging it at 1 CD 34 pesos, or are you hoping for more? In other words, though even you're saying 60 or 70 pesos would suffice, are you going to push for, let's say, more than 1 CD 34 pesos, and then if they cut it down, if they slash it, you will accept whatever they give you?
Yeah, that was our expectation. We were thinking that it will not go beyond that. But look at the one they just gave to us, 15 pesos per liter. We are not expecting that. So it came as a surprise to us. Because if the fuel a liter price is 11 to 18 pesos, and you are reducing it, and you reduce it by 15 pesos. My brother, how can we work with this?
Are you considering, Mr. Mankwa, are you considering what impact this has on the ordinary Ghanaian who will be using your vehicles? I know last year, instead of even adding to the fares, you decided to go on strike. But it's only recently that you added a percentage, quite a huge bit, and that led to some suffering for ordinary Ghanaians. Here you are again saying you want to top up, you want to add on. Don't you feel Ghanaians are feeling the pinch too much?
Yes, my brother. Increasing the fares is not our wish. We don't want that. Right. Because last year, 2021, we were giving 13% increase in the transport fares. Meanwhile, workers were giving only 4%. So when you consider all these things, it will not be prudent for us to increase our fares.
Right.
Because whenever we increase it, our turnover comes down. So we were pleading with the government to reduce scrap some of the tax so that the fuel price will come down. Because by increasing the fare, it will affect our business.
Right.
A person who's supposed to travel twice a week will go once in a week. Moreover, they will organize themselves and give their money to one person to travel all the way from Sudan to Accra and do the shopping. You see that the bus will be on scale and the booths will be full and the passengers are not coming.
Right.
So we consider all those factors before we increase our fares. But as the situation is, there's nothing we can do. The only option is to increase the fares.
Right. Does that mean that where you've got to, if you don't increase, you'll be out of business? It'll put you out of business?
Oh, we will not be out of business, but the business will come down. It will come down drastically. So we don't want our business to come down, as you said. So right. While we were pleading, we were looking for reduction rather than increasing the fares.
Okay. Hold it for me, Mr. Amankwa. Let me go back to Samson Asaki. Awenga bit. Samson, can you hear me? Mr. Awenga bit, can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Awenga bit?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. I just wanted to be sure. Sure. Let's go back to the submission you were making on the 15 pesewa decrement, because that also impacts your importers and exporters. How do you react to that situation? You've been listening to Richard Amankwa. What's your take?
Extremely well. I was just trying to tell you that that policy that the finance minister did was just enrich the richest the more, not the poorest. Because if 50 pesos would only go in lieu to benefit companies and organizations who buy more liters of the fuel. So, for instance, if a mining company is consuming 1 million liters a year, 1 million liters times 15 pesos is huge savings for the company. But a tractor driver, a Okada driver, which I told the last time that whether we like or not, they've come to see, I continue to pick passengers and continue to charge. And now that even the transport unions are even rooting for another increment, it tells you that if you are going to take Okada tomorrow and tomorrow next, after this will increase, it's going to go further high. Again, as well as those who clear goods from the port. If you are going to the market now and you see prices of goods being high, assuming the transport owners increase their fares today, it means it's going to also have a repercussion on an increment of prices of goods in the market, because you are paying huge money to transport the same cargo to the market for the final consumer to come and buy. I was thinking that the finance minister was going to cut down drastically, as the gentleman said. Or in any case, I was thinking that the finance minister was going to, if you reduce the petroleum product prices drastically, then cement product will come down. Then iron rod product will come down. The price of these goods are for ordinary Ghanaians. And ordinary Ghanaians who have a piece of land would want to buy cement and put up a single room, decent room, and live. Which cement price continues to go high, which iron rod price continues to go high. And I was thinking that prior to the finance minister policy statement, he had that iron rod per ton moved from 6,000 to 8,000. We were thinking that he was going to make any statement that will cushion the plight of Ghanaians. But I didn't hear that from him. Again, you heard that he said we were going to introduce policy called no duty, no exit at the port. That is also another way of policy that I didn't like it at all. Because I said elsewhere that maybe the finance minister wasn't properly advised, was ill-advised, or the tanker people at custom had advised that, look, even when the vessel is coming to your country, and the vessel is carrying, when I say vessel, I mean the ship. Well, if the ship is coming to your country, and that ship is having cargo, including dangerous cargo. When I say dangerous cargo, exactly what happened at our brothers and sisters at Apeti, or what's the town name, some few weeks ago when we had that casualty. It can easily explode. No port authority would like to keep dangerous cargo within the port. So even in the ship, when the ship is sailing to your country, within the ship, they segmented a particular space to keep only dangerous cargo. As soon as the ship bed in your country, when they discharge those containers, that's why in Ghana here we have a dedicated terminal called TBT that receives all dangerous cargo, be it alcoholic, be it chemicals to produce paint and stuff like that, or mining chemicals. We discard them from the MPS, then take them straight to the outside terminal. So if there's any explosion, assuming without admitting that it happened that there's explosion, it will not strike down our port. And you and I know how much we spent in building the Terminal 3, $1.something billion. So we cannot afford to keep dangerous cargo to say that because of a policy called no duty, no exit, then we'll burn one day wake up and the port is burned. Quite apart from that, the GPRTU used taxpayers' money to put up 3 dedicated terminals. One of the terminals is the reefer container, which if the ship bed at MPS, all Ghanaian importers who bring in the frozen food, chicken and fish in containers. All right, my brother, are you hearing me?
I'm listening to you.
Would those containers, as soon as they discharge at MPS, will leave to the GPRTU reefer container terminal with electrical plugs that will keep a temperature at a certain level. Then the owner will come to pay their duty and then pick it from there.
Okay.
They have those who import Bruno Wow, that's the first people at Kantamanto, right? Those who bring in spare parts at Obosokai, and those who bring in cars, and including those, you, myself, Professor Gachi and Richard, maybe we both traveled to maybe China or Germany. I bought my cargo, my goods, you bought your goods, but you alone goods or I alone goods cannot fill a container. So the 4 of us come together take a higher container and they package our goods into it. So it becomes what we call a groupage. All those cargo, when they get to MPS and they decide the container, they are supposed to put a dedicated container terminal, which is called Golden Jubilee. That is where we clear foes, peppers, cars that have no legs to walk, and even cars, if they open a container and you have cars, you have to take them because GPRTU has a contract with a Safeborn terminal, the car park. Then they'll move them from Golden Jubilee and take it to that place.
Right.
So if you come out with a policy like this and said no duty, no exit, point is all these categories of cargo that ought not to stay within MPS. Where are they going to go? And the employees of these places, the CBC, the Golden Jubilee employees, the GPRTU air containers employees, and even transit cargo are not supposed to stay in the MPS. GPRTU has also spent another money, put up a very dedicated cargo terminal in this country. And so all those cargo, as soon as they landed at MPS will discharge them, box them together, and then inform GPRTU. GPRTU will send their MAFI. MAFI means some dedicated trucks that the GPRTU invested money in it. We'll go and pick those containers and send it there. Now, if the container is leaving MPS, we have what we call get in, get out.
So just for the sake of time, Mr. Awingobit, I'd like you to wrap on this. But essentially, what you're saying is that on the back of the fuel price decrements and some of these things that were absent from the finance minister's presentation, for you, the importers and exporters, is going to be a very tricky situation. The cost of importing and exporting is still going to be very high, and that cost will have to be passed on to consumers. Is that what you're saying?
Of course, yes. You remember I said that before he came to deliver the economic policy statement. You remember he spoke with me and I said, I have not looked at government saying they are going to pump $2 billion into the system. That was not going to keep us for long. You remember?
Right.
I said there was a need for government through Minister of Finance to liaise with the Governor of Bank of Ghana to give permit to the commercial bank to import in their own forest. Even though with that, the banks themselves would even know how many of my customers travel to China regularly. So that if they give me the permit, I don't need to even bring for $1. I can only bring China yen. So that if my customers want to go to China, instead of getting $1 to go and convert it to China yen, we bring it yen, China yen, Chinese yen, to give to our customers. And so these were measures I was looking at. The other aspect was cutting down government petroleum coupon for 50%. You remember him? The minister said that.
Right.
I was thinking that the minister was going to say, okay, look, from now all government DAs, all government DA that was allocated to government appointees, ministers, deputy ministers, and other appointees, we are going to park maybe at Parliament, or they are going to take them to the old castle. If you are a minister, you are going for a trek. Trek here is you are going to Takoradi, you are going to Ahafo, you are going to Bono, you are going to Upper East, you are going to North East, you are going to Oti, you are going to Savannah.
Right.
Then you booked. You booked to the chief of staff office, or you put in the application to the chief of staff office. They allocate that vehicle to you. Then you go. When you come, the driver sends it back to the pool.
So or those are more cost-saving measures.
Minister living within the rich area, the cantonment and stuff like that, or if they go on others, if you are going to your office, or if you are come to Tema to even commission official duties, use saloon cars. Then you follow the cut yourself. Again, the 30% cut off of government pay appointees, salary or whatever, to go to the consolidated account. I don't subscribe to that. Consolidated account, what are you going to use it? For what purpose? We are here some years ago. Former President Mahama appointees said they were cutting their salary of 10%.
Right.
They were going to use it for cheap compounds. So the ministers come back and tell that 30% cut off salary to the consolidated account.
So you want something specific they are going to channel it into. You want something, you want to know that these 30%, the heads of state-owned enterprises, for example, when the 30% is taken, is going to go specifically into this project. You want to know that?
Exactly.
Right.
Specifically, maybe it's going to go and help the Agenda 111, or it's going to help build other. Look, let me tell you, I've been driving on motorway.
And just make this your final point, so we can proceed.
I've been driving on motorway every day to Accra to attend to media and meetings. Do you know the Ashaba overhead? After the overhead at the one ending going to the general hospital,
right.
The one at the Ajoko Joe Johnson. We see every day how people are crossing the road. I don't know if you have observed that Ajoko Joe Bridge. Cars has been kept on knocking down people because people are crossing from the last street to the Ajoko Joe area to go to Asama. People are crossing from the Asama area to go to the Ajoko Joe area. Why can't you, this 30% will be dedicated to put what you call, is it a bridge, to cross that area? to save life on the motorway.
Okay. All right. So let's continue the conversation with Professor John Gachi, who now joins us on the phone lines. And Prof, if we're talking about the land borders being reopened, that is one end of the economic conversation. But now we're also talking about 15 pesewa decrement when it comes to the fuel prices. The two gentlemen we've interacted with, Mr. Amankwa of the GPRTU, Deputy General Secretary, and Samson Asaki Awingobit of the Importers and Exporters Association, say it does not suffice. And there's also talk about the broader measures to shore up our economy. I hear you're still with us via Zoom. What is your take on this? Let's start with the 15 pesewa decrease in the prices of fuel products. Does that suffice for you? And what more could we have done?
Well, actually, on the face,
it appears we have a bit of a connection issue with Professor John Gachi, who is Dean of the Business School at the University of Cape Coast. We'll try to reconnect with him so we can get his take on those two matters. So coming to you, Mr. Amankwa, when are you expecting for some conversation to happen between you and the relevant ministry agencies and also that you can reconsider your transport fares? Because you can't just get up and increase it on your own. So what is the way forward in terms of an upward adjustment? All right, so we'll try to reconnect with Professor John Gachi, who is Dean Business School at the University of Cape Coast, Richard Amankwa, who is Deputy General Secretary at the GPRTU, and Samson Asaki Awingobit, who is head of the Importers and Exporters Association. All of them have been sharing their thoughts on the most recent measures from the financial statement, as well as the President's 28th address on the back of COVID-19. One thing is clear. There is a lot more work to be done. Professor John Gachi, thank you for reconnecting with us via the phone lines. I was just saying that the reopening of the land borders, yes, to aid our economy. But on the other hand, we have the 15 pesewa decrease for fuel prices. Was that enough? And what more could government have done?
Well, definitely it's not enough. If people look at the cumulative increase in fuel prices, they do not think that this is a true reflection of what should be given to cushion consumers.
Right.
But I think we need to understand this from the orientation of government. Orientation of government is that they need revenue so badly that they are not ready to feed off revenue. Because it is easy at this time to generate more revenue from the oil pricing process
right.
By government. So all that government is saying that, please, I'm not interested in feeding off my revenue conduit. I will just give you something, 15%. And the government is also believing that the measures taken to ensure stable exchange rate regime will, with time, change the direction of fuel prices in the country. As to whether that is the best for us,
right?
We wait to see. When
I was just about to ask whether you had that belief as well, that would happen, because there are no guarantees, are there?
Well, there are no serious guarantees. I think it will depend on how deep fuel prices, food oil prices internationally will go down, and how stable depreciation or the currency will be with time. That I cannot assure. But the point is, if you link this with the threat by GPRTU to increase fuel price, lorry price, I believe GPRTU to also explain few things to us. Our understanding is that even though they need to respond if there is change in fuel prices, and that actually have significant effect on their business. But it seems to me they have been working within a certain convention. And that convention is that if fuel prices are increased cumulatively by 10%, then that should trigger a change in lorry fare.
Exactly. And we're talking of even more than 10% in this instance. On the back of the changes in fuel prices, they have been complaining. And at this point, we're looking at even more than 10%. Richard Amankwa, just for you to confirm for us, the build-up within the last window, it's more than 10%, right? I believe we've lost Richard Amankwa, but I do know it's more than 10%. So in this instance, yes, it's been triggered, Prof. And they will have to make some adjustments.
When that is actually projected, then we, the consumers, can be on the side of GPRTU. But it seems to us that is not what they're discussing. They are just talking about the 15% reduction. So they should let us know whether we have crossed the 15% build up, for which they should trigger another round of increase in lorry fare.
And it is logical what you say, because we increased fares not too long ago. But per my reading, as far as the GPRTU is concerned, yes, we have done more than 10%. You would recall that the prices were very different as of the last time they even embarked on their industrial action and said they were not going to, shuttle people to and fro. And back then, we're looking at something around 7 cedis thereabouts. Within a short space of time, we're looking at around 11 cedis. So obviously, the increment has been huge. And here we are. They are saying they're going to adjust it by about 20% if need be. But is the GPRTU, are they being insensitive, do you think?
No, I don't think they are insensitive. They are just responding to whatever is going on.
And Prof, I asked that question on the back of the fact that I put a question to Mr. Amankwa of the GPRTU that, look, would it break the bank? Would you be out of business if you don't increase by some of these percentages? And he's saying that, no, we would not be out of business, but it would really shrink our capital and things would not exactly be the best. So I guess there's a room for some massaging of the figures. And they are willing to take less if need be.
Well, that is just the gesture they are showing for the massive economic difficulties across board in the country. But their decision to increase fares when it crossed the threshold,
right,
is actually not about being insensitive.
Maybe to wrap on this specific beat, for you, from your standpoint, what other measures would you have wanted to see as the finance minister, put forward these remedies, if you like, to boost our economy? What other things do you feel we could have done that were not done, that you did not hear from the presentation of the finance minister?
Well, even what has been done, some of them shouldn't have been done. So I think it's important we also talk about that.
Right. Like which ones?
Yeah. You see, we are pumping $2 billion cumulatively dollars into the system, and we have been told that will be borrowed. Okay. That is the first thing, meaning that one side of the equation will be increased, and at the same time, policy rate has gone up.
Right.
In the environment where even the record from the financial sector indicates that about 80% of the portfolio held by financial institutions went to government and not the private sector. Now that the policy rate has gone up, of course,
right,
in response to the development in the country, it
right,
means access to credit at a cheaper cost to the private sector is even elusive. Then, on the back of that, we were told that the cash reserve has gone up to 12% from 10%.
Right.
Now, pre-pandemic cash reserve was 10%. And when the pandemic broke, it was reduced to 8%, with the aim of freeing money for the bank to give to the private sector to work. Now, if we assume that the pandemic is controlled somehow, I believe it should have come to the original level of 10%. Now it has gone to 12%. What it means is that you are limiting the ability or the capacity of the commercial banks to get access to their own mobilization or deposits to send out to facilities for the private sector. When already it is very clear, government is the one taking a chunk of the funds that the commercial banks are sending out. And I believe that is counterproductive and makes the situation bizarre. Bizarre because one would say that part of the mobilization of deposits includes foreign currency. So is it the one that is going to give us the 2 billion or we are actually going to borrow?
Right.
This is something that Bank of Ghana should clarify so that we know that the deposit that you are withholding is not that you are going to send into the system and we claim that we have borrowed.
Right.
That is very, very crucial.
Right.
Because the Bank of Ghana is not paying any interest on those money being held. And if indeed Bank of Ghana is going to use that money to send around, then there is a question that the Bank of Ghana needs to clarify for all of us.
Prof, it would have been interesting to go further into even more detail on some of the measures that you speak of. Very interesting, but we're going to have to call it a conversation here. Thank you so much, Professor Gachi, for joining us this morning, giving us your time. And that is Professor John Gachi, Dean, School of Business at the UCC. We've also had for this conversation Richard Amankwa, Deputy General Secretary of the GPRTU, and Samson Asaki Awingobit of the Importers and Exporters Association.